guess what? Guess what? Guess what? After 6 long months without drum and bass, I finally broke my rule and I listened to the Zurich set last night, which is really unusual because the rides are always in the daytime, but they did something different and they did it in the evening, which I thought looked really cool actually. It looked really beautiful. And it was supposed to come on, from what I checked earlier in the week to see what was going on, because I just felt ready. I felt ready to break this spell. I felt ready to break this drought. And I actually checked last night, and the video that I uploaded saying that I'm going to take a break from drum and bass was exactly 6 months ago. Insane. Earlier in the week I knew I was ready. So I checked and I saw that the DJ was going to be in Switzerland, Zurich, which is really interesting because last year an acquaintance of mine mentioned, and I hadn't even known this, but he mentioned that he has an apartment, or he rents an apartment in Zurich, but most of the time it's just empty from what I gather. Japanese guy, and he said, first of all, he's surprised that I've never been to Switzerland. I think because for the Japanese to take time off and to travel is such a big deal. They get hardly any time off. It's not like 28 days a year, European style. These guys get very, very limited time off, and so when they do get time off, it's such a huge thing to plan a trip. So they think I'm really odd that I'm living in Europe. Yes, the UK is still part of Europe. I'm living in Europe and I haven't been to most of these European cities. And it's very difficult for me to try and explain because I don't really understand it myself. But it always felt too easy for me to travel into Europe. There wasn't, because it was just on my doorstep. So it didn't feel like a challenge. So I would go to random places, far off distant places. These days, I have less of a desire to be on long haul flights, and it's just a little bit more tricky nowadays, which is something I need to talk about as well. But for the past few years, I think for maybe 5-6 years, Europe has become more of an interest for me, especially the Scandinavian countries and places like Iceland and Finland, and Switzerland's been a place that I've wanted to go to for a while. So last year my acquaintance mentioned this flat, and he said, you know, you can, if you want to go, you can. So I need to find out. So I said, yeah, that sounds great. Didn't do much about it, didn't ask any more questions about it. And then yesterday I see Zurich. OMG, you guys, why did no one tell me Zurich is such a vibe? This ride was the best ride, even though it was in the rain. And can you imagine, the DJ's DJing in the pouring rain. It was the best set that I've seen. Not only was it the best set that I've heard from him, the best crowd. These Zurichians, that's not right, people from Zurich, what are they called? These Swiss people, Swissians, that's not right either. People from Switzerland. These guys are called Swiss. I know that's what it's going to say. Swiss. But we need something else added to it. These Swiss people, their energy was insane. It was so beautiful. Sometimes with the rides in the UK, it feels a little bit like there's some ego in there. That's why I think my preference is to watch the European rides, because the Europeans are just so chill, they're so mellow, they're so respectful, and it's just a really nice vibe. And for some reason, in my opinion, this DJ sets are always the best in Europe. For some bizarre reason, I don't know why that is. I don't know whether he caters it for the Swiss audience, the European audience. I don't know if the energy is different, so he vibes off that. I'm not sure how it works, but my favorite set to this day has been a Berlin set, but this Swiss set has just topped that. The tracks were all just incredible, and then you've got this, the beauty of it, of the rain just plummeting down, and the energy of the people around him. There's a few moments that he's not even aware of because he's so focused on this deck. I'll give you a few examples. There's this one moment when he stops and the train behind him, like the underground or the overground, is going behind him, and the sun is sort of coming down, and he's just so focused on the decks. It's so beautiful. Then there's another moment when they're under a tunnel. The tunnel is such an exciting moment always in these rides because of the acoustics, I think, also because they can stop and everyone's just partying. So he stops under a tunnel, and then behind him, all these guys lift their bikes and start pulling up their bikes above their heads. He misses this whole thing. It's insane to watch that. It's such a nice moment. There's this other moment also where I'm not well versed in understanding car type stuff, but he has to detour. So he's here, and then he has to come forward to be able to go to that area. So many of the people, they just go horizontal. They just cross directly. But then there's a select group of people who could also do that because it just makes sense. It's a shortcut. But they just keep following him around this longer route. And it's like this Pied Piper moment. It's always a Pied Piper moment. But that moment in time in particular felt so Pied Pipery because they just had to be near him. They just had to support him. They just had to follow him. And then there's this other moment when, this is the first time this has ever happened, I think, because I've missed a few rides in this 6-month hiatus. But there's a moment when one of the guys, I think his name's Dorian, because he asks his name afterwards. There's feedback at the beginning of the set. And the most incredible thing about technology is that people on Facebook are messaging him and saying that there's feedback. So I'm hearing the feedback and I'm thinking, please someone just text him or message him or say something to him. So it seems that eventually someone does. He reads the message, he gets up to sort out this feedback. And this Dorian guy and his friend are constantly around him. Their energy is just amazing. So he says to this Dorian guy, get on the bike. So he does, and he starts cycling. It's the first time this has ever happened. Dorian was the chosen one, guys. Dorian was the chosen one. And it's just so cool. Dorian's just cool. He's just a cool guy. And that happens 2 or 3 times throughout the ride where he asks Dorian to step in and get on this bicycle. One moment is when he needs to use the bathroom and he can't hold it in anymore. So he disappears off somewhere. That level of trust between DJ and party goers, I've not seen that in any of the rides before. But that's what I mean about the European rides. The people are so wholesome. There's just something very nice about them. And so that kind of trust. And then he goes off for like a couple of minutes, and then he comes, and this guy's just riding the bike. And then he comes back. It's lovely. It's really lovely. And so this ride is not amazing just for the set, just for the energy, nor just for the energy, but because of this trust element between the DJ and the participants. Is incredible. I'm so excited to go back and watch it again. So I checked earlier in the week and it was supposed to be live at 6:45, so I'm thinking that's Swiss time, so it's actually going to come on at 7:45. You know my bedtime's like 8:30 because because I have to wake up at 4. So I knew that was going to be a late night. But for some reason, I just thought, let me just check early. So at 6 p.m., I think around 6 p.m., I just checked, or maybe it was a little bit after that, and it was already 5 minutes into the ride. I can't believe how lucky I got to catch it. I mean, it's still there. It's on Facebook, but I like to catch it when it's live. And I don't know why, but it's like you're with them in that moment. I like that feeling of being with them in that moment. So who knew that Switzerland was such a vibe? I'd assumed that the Swiss are very similar to the Germans, a little bit more controlled's not the right word, but a little bit more conservative, let's say. But wow, the energy, the vibe, so it's pouring down with rain, and there's been only one other ride that I've seen where this has happened, and it was in Dublin. So it's hard, right? He's not only riding, trying to figure out the roads and managing people, but amazingly, he didn't need to manage the people here, because a lot of the time, I know this is insane. I'm obsessed. I really am. This to me is such an incredible concept. What he's done and achieved for humanity is on another level of incredible. In all the other rides, this tends to happen less in the European rides. And the reason for this, I think, is because people respect his space so that he can focus on what he has to do. In the UK rides, people are always trying to fist bump him. So he was able to focus a little bit more because he's trying to figure out, he's got this sheet covering the deck, and he needs to be able to see what's going on underneath this deck. And people are not really fist bumping him, which is great. So he's a little bit more focused. And because of that, he's feeding off the energy of these party goers. It's amazing, guys. It's amazing. Probably, definitely, not even probably, definitely the best set that I've seen. And I think actually the rain added to it. And another really interesting thing is that after I caught that set, I went on his YouTube channel and I saw that he'd been in Darwin in Australia. So he's starting to go proper international. I think he'll be in America at some point soon. Let's hope, because the great thing about Europe is that they've allowed him to do these rides, and Europeans are chill. The UK is chill, Europe's chill, Australia's obviously chill, but I wonder whether the regulations will allow him to do what he needs to do in a place like America. I'm not sure. Depends on the state, I'm guessing. But yeah, so I watched a little bit of the Darwin ride, and I think drum and bass is really a European thing, and I say that just because the Swiss lot, they just knew how to move. And I've noticed that, have there been other places where people haven't really felt the movement? I'm trying to think if there was somewhere else in Europe. I'm not sure. But I think generally Europe, they just know how to move to the beat of drum and bass. And I can see that difference when I contrast it to a place like Darwin in Australia. It's a beautiful, beautiful city, but the energy just feels different, right? So I do think that somehow drum and bass is just inbuilt in Europe, and it's just exciting to watch people just, there's this other moment when at the beginning he's not getting any horns. The first couple of times he asks for people to beep their horns, car riders, no one does. But then this guy in this big massive truck gives him the longest beep and horn, and then they're in this tunnel, another tunnel, and there's a cascade of cars that are just beeping for him. It's so special. This is human connection, my friends. This is bringing people together, and I'm so all for that. this week has been such an interesting week because it was quite a heavy week for me. So I needed to keep myself up. I really needed to keep myself up. And I think it's so funny, guys. It's so funny. You know that video the Kanye video that I did, and I said I can't listen to hip hop anymore because just the lyrics, I don't want that stuff in my head. Interestingly though, the Japanese, I don't know if I've ever talked about this, but the Japanese scene is so fascinating, the music scene. The hip hop and reggae scene is huge in Japan. I mean, huge. And the DJs are so talented in mixing hip hop tracks. Reggae was never my interest, so I never really attended a lot of reggae stuff, but the hip hop DJs, I did see quite a few of them, and they mix beautifully. And because I'm sure I'd been talking about hip hop, lo and behold, I get this Japanese something coffee, this channel called Incredible Coffee. I'll link it. And it's a bunch of boys or DJs in Koenji, a coffee shop in Koenji, who are DJing, and it's a coffee shop, and then you've got people in the background, their friends, their crew. This is such a Japanese thing where they'll mix two spaces together to achieve something really, really special. And they've done it in such a way that it actually feels like you're in the space with them. And I was looking at the comments, and it's mostly foreigners, non-Japanese people writing comments underneath. I just thought, what an exciting time to be alive. Back in the day, it would be me on these artist videos or DJ sets, and I'd be like the lone foreigner writing a comment. And now you've got these, it's all predominantly foreigners who are writing comments. So even Japan is starting to open up, and the young people in Japan are just starting to become really international. This is so exciting to me. I am so amazed by Gen Z and what they're doing, how they live, how the world is becoming so interconnected. It's so exciting to me. And then I've been watching that channel that I told you about, Understanding the Universe. Is that what it's called? Accepting the Universe, which is such a great channel. I just get so much out of it. And then Wizard Liz, one of the few girls that I watch on YouTube, she uploaded, and she's amazing. She's great for both boys and girls. There's no division. She's just straight talking, and she's fantastic. Her energy is great, and she talks a lot of sense. So I'd had these channels that were really positive and uplifting come my way this week, and I thought it makes such a huge difference. You guys know that I like a girl called Manifestel. She's fantastic, but I don't need her. I really don't. She's intelligent, and that's why I enjoy listening to her, because she's very, very intelligent. But actually, the stuff that she talks about, I don't really need in my world at all. It's probably for younger girls who are navigating this world, and maybe guys as well. But it just made me realize that this division that's being created between men and women, it's not real. It's just something that's happening. It's just a phase that's happening, but it will die out. So don't get sucked into it, because it has no benefit to you. It really doesn't. This is what I also wanted to mention. When I was watching these DJ sets, really reminded me of Japanese boys, and why Japanese boys are very, very attractive to someone like me. And the reason is that they're so unbothered by things that Western guys might be bothered by. Will this require another video? Perhaps. I need to talk about Soshoku boys. Yeah, I think I'll do that. It's kind of connected to the manosphere type stuff. So guys, I broke my rule, and I'm very happy I did, and we need to travel. So I also went back and channel. They actually haven't been deleted. Some of them have been deleted off my channel. Some of them are just on private mode. There's just over 336. I think altogether there must have been close to 350, 360 videos in these 3 years. Went back to the original video that I put up. I was in Italy in Lake Garda, and that was really what I wanted to always do. I wanted to travel and take you, the viewer, with me. It hasn't happened, and it's made me feel so despondent. It's really cut me up that I haven't been able to achieve it. And I was looking at that video from 3 years back, and it was just so innocent and so sweet and so lovely, and none of this nonsense of the internet, like all this stuff between man and woman was in my zone. I've never needed that because I don't see man and woman like that. And I'm a different generation. We've been brought up in a different way. This is an issue now with the younger generation, I think. But I looked so sweet, and I thought, you've got to be so careful what's coming into your head and zone. If it makes you feel bad, sometimes some things make you feel bad because you know you're letting yourself down. For example, maybe you watch someone like Wizard Liz, and you know she's saying the right things. You know that what she's talking about is true, and it makes you feel bad because you can't get to where she's at, or you can't pull yourself out of the situation that you're in, and that's why it makes you feel bad, because you know you need to do the work. You know that you need to do something about it. And then there are other channels that make you feel bad because it's just negative and there's no benefit to it. You need to be able to distinguish between the two. Anything that has no benefit and is affecting you in a negative way, you really need to eradicate it. Other things that you need to hear to be able to get you to where you need to get to, those kind of channels are more important. So I think really when I was thinking about channels that I will continue to watch but get rid of everything else, there hasn't been anything really. I felt like as much as I enjoy Manifesto, I just think it's not for someone like me. So now we're just left with the great, like the really uplifting and positive channels, and this is awesome. This makes me happy. Why did I say that? There was a reason. Oh yeah, the travel thing. So I went and watched those videos from Italy, and the funniest thing was that was such a dark period in my life. I started this channel when I was going through a lot of heavy stuff. But even so, I still look so much more peaceful than I do now. And I think the reason is that I've never been able to progress in London. London is I have a really tough relationship with London because I don't feel like I'm understood here. I feel like my energy doesn't match the energy of London. I don't know if that's going to be the case for other cities, but I think I'm just too different for here. And I don't mean it in a way like I'm special different. I don't mean that at all. I just mean my energy somehow doesn't match here. And so when I watch the European rides and when I watch things related to Japan, this week I was even watching Pacific Island videos. Can you imagine? I really want to go to the Pacific Islands. I was watching Jonah from Tonga, who I have a real soft spot for. He's a character, a Chris Lilly character, who's an Australian comedian. Jonah from Tonga is one of his characters that he does. And I was thinking I really need to go to the Pacific Islands. And then I was watching Hawaii content from Hawaii, and I was like, I need to go to Hawaii. And then I went and watched Japanese type stuff, and I need to be traveling. And London, I need you to work with me. I need you to give me a break. I need you to stop. I need you to vibe with me for a period of time so that I can be in the right vibration with you. And like last night, I was so high, but I was in my pajamas and yeah, I didn't want to come on, but that kind of energy is the energy that I always want to have for here. And for a long time, it hasn't been like that. But that's that energy that I have. Now you might say, well, that's a dopamine fix. But you know what? This is why I love living in Tokyo, because it's a constant dopamine fix. Maybe that's just who I am. Maybe I'm that person that needs a constant dopamine fix to be able to get the most out of life. I don't know, but what I do know is that the drudgery of day-to-day life doesn't work for me. It saps my energy and it's just not who I am. And yes, it makes my life more complicated. Yes, it puts me in difficult spots. But at some point, you just have to accept who you are. And cutting myself off from all these things that give me so much joy, like drum and bass, like traveling, it really reduces me to this person that I don't even recognize. And I just cannot continue to live like that. So I've been thinking so hard this week. What's been amazing is that recently, for a while, I've known that I've got this clever bunch of people on my channel. This makes me so happy. It was always my dream to be surrounded by cool and clever, cool and smart. And so there was a connection. Maybe you can advise me on what I should be doing. Cool and smart people. I don't know how to get out of this situation that I'm in, of needing to travel and needing to be around my music, and yet tethered here because of just responsibility, I guess. And you know, I don't even have the responsibilities that other people have, so there's nothing really stopping me. But obviously, to be able to travel and do the things I want, I need to sustain myself. And I think that's possibly something I need to navigate. That's what is really, yeah. Habibi, you left a comment for me and then you deleted it. And I apologize if you didn't think that my response was enough of a response to the long comment that you wrote. I didn't know what else to add to what you'd written, and I try really hard not to be, I don't want to be fake. I'm not a fake person, so please understand and accept that if I don't write, if I don't reply, or if my reply is very minimal, it has nothing to do with what you've written. It's just I don't know what else to add or say. But I took in everything that you said, and I understand the situation that you were describing. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say, Habibi, about that. Oh my gosh, 30 minutes, what's going on? I need to tell you about these Soshoku boys. These Japanese boys are so unbothered and in their own world and focused on their own hobbies and passions, and that's the difference between these Japanese boys and what I currently see happening in the internet space. I really don't think the internet space is real. I'm starting to recognize that I don't think it's real. It's not what normal people are going through. That's why it baffles me. I think this is a small sect of people that are struggling with this stuff. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can advise me. Okay. I cannot wait for this Switzerland ride to be uploaded on YouTube, because somehow it always feels slightly more clear when it is uploaded to YouTube. But it will take maybe 3 weeks, maybe a month before it's uploaded. So I'm going to go I'll be back today, maybe not. I don't know. But I will try and talk about this social good thingy at some point. Herbivore boys, plant-eating boys, which is an irony in itself because Japanese boys eat meat.